Well, I say good morning for me. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee, on my little run through the US, and I thought we'd talk today about getting consistent lead flow from social media. I'm doing these lives. I normally post pretty regularly, but the time zone makes it quite tricky. So I am posting and doing all of this from the confines of my hotel room, just checking that the live's actually working. And then we're going to dig into what is organic lead flow. So I just want to make sure I'm there and I'm live. And it looks like I am. It's working. So that's all good. So how are you doing? Just how are we doing? It's the end of the first quarter of 2025. We are 3 months down nearly, coming up on Monday. And how are we doing? How's business been? Have you been getting the leads that you wanted? Let's talk about organic lead flow, but let me just address the elephant in the room first, or at least the elephant that I can see. There's no elephant other than me. I don't know why on this camera I look like I've got Donald Trump's skincare routine because I look flipping orange. I've looked in the mirror. I am not orange, but you see what I mean? I look really orange. Anyway, organic lead flow. So there's a few different reasons why you use social media. First of all, you use it to be social. And I'm not talking about that today, about what you do to, if you enjoy using LinkedIn or you enjoy using Facebook or you enjoy any of those platforms, there's a social element to it, a connection with people, friends, all that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how do you get organic lead flow from LinkedIn or wherever your favorite channel is. And that's not the same process or the same pattern of behavior as using social media socially. You've got to be far more disciplined, you've got to have a far more tighter process, and you've got to have complete clarity on who you're talking to and what you're selling. If you don't have that clarity, you will struggle for a long time trying to generate organic leads because you will be conveying confusion. And we're not going to go down that rabbit hole today. I've talked about this in other lives. We'll talk about that again in other lives in the future. But one of the fundamentals, once you have that clarity, is that you are working a system. And systems are boring, but the success they bring is exciting. And one of the easiest mistakes you can fall into is wanting a sexy system when actually you should be wanting sexy results. And so I see this a lot. People will bounce from tactic to tactic, strategy to strategy, trying to find something that feels good. And what we've done is we've replaced, and social media has done this, the companies have done this, is helping you get enjoyment from being busy rather than enjoyment from getting results and progress. So that is a major thing that people do, and they miss out on. So I'm going to basically talk about how do you get that organic lead flow. Well, it's really simple, really straightforward. The clarity, right? If you have that total clarity, the systems get really straightforward. And then it's about discipline. So let's say you're a typical LinkedIn user. You've got maybe half an hour a day, half an hour or so a day. And we're being practical here. It would be nice for you to take all the advice of the influencers who say you need to spend 10 hours a week on here. The reality is that just isn't feasible for the majority of people. There's a small sliver of people who can go, yeah, I can throw 10 hours a week at this. And let's be honest, most of the people who are full-time on LinkedIn, like myself, will have a team as well. And if you're not there, if you're not generating the money yet, it's very difficult to invest more money in something that's not pulling stuff out. And I'd advise against it, because you can, until you've got that clarity, you can keep sinking more and more money into the platform, into tactics and strategies, realizing and going, none of them are working, and it's actually your clarity, and it's the clarity behind it that's missing. Let's say you've got half an hour. Half an hour a day, what should you be doing that will help all of this move? Well, fundamentally, number one, you've got to be growing your network. Yeah, your LinkedIn network is slowly dying. By that I mean people are literally dying. People are retiring. People are changing industries. People are going in and out of activity. And so if you just stick with the network you've got, you will find it progressively gets less and less relevant, and it will get less and less engaged because people move on, things change. So you want to be bringing new people into your LinkedIn, and you want to be bringing them in like clockwork. Now, I don't advocate when people connect, you pitching them, because that really doesn't work. So you're growing your network. If you're a paid subscriber, you can send 20 connection requests a day. Away you go. What do we do with those people? What do we do with those people now? Well, here comes the thing. Let me just check my audio is all good and okay. My audio to this. So we've grown our network. We've got new connections. They're coming in. Now is the time to plan out what are we going to do, and we've only got a couple of hours a week, tops. I would first off have an honest look at yourself, your skill set, and your level of comfort with outreach. And I'll say this quite honestly, some people want very quick results from social media, but don't have the stomach for outreach, right? And I don't mean, just pitch slapping people. I mean any form of outreach. I was talking to somebody a few days ago, and they'd done an event on LinkedIn, and I said to them they need to follow up people, and they were afraid of following people up. What if they get annoyed with me? What if they came to your event? You have the right to follow them up, right? But if you're afraid of that follow up, yeah, it's going to be harder. It's going to be harder because what you're basically doing is putting the ball firmly in your prospect's court. So what you're doing is requiring them to take the first move. You're requiring them to put the effort in. And a lot of people won't do that. But if you make the effort, they'll be more open. So let's say you don't have the stomach for direct outreach. So in other words, going to people, not pitch slapping them, not connect and pitching. But let's say you don't have that level of comfort. What should you do? So you want more warm leads, or you want more warm kind of conversations rather than what we call outreach. Here's what I'd do. Number one, I'd start running LinkedIn events, and I'd start inviting my network, and then I would follow up those people who've come to those events. That's what I do. That allows me to generate a number of leads all at once, show value, invest in those people, giving them practical tips and tricks, and it's a warm follow-up asking for a conversation about what could be their next step working with me. That would be the easiest go-to for most people. And the great thing about that is that approach can be replicated on pretty much all the social media channels. You can do that same process on Facebook, you can do that process on X, you can do that process on Threads, Instagram. It works everywhere. So you could have a scenario where you're using the same strategy and pulling people into one place to deliver it. So that works brilliantly. So you do a LinkedIn event, but you could also host it on YouTube and pull people there as well. It works brilliantly. That would not take you a huge amount of time. Most people can do that in a couple of hours a week. Yeah. Now, putting content, posting content and stuff on top is extra time, but everybody could do that. And it's industry agnostic, it's platform agnostic. It kind of works everywhere because you're investing in people and you're drawing a crowd based on a relevant title and topic that speaks to a need that they have. That's the safest bet. It's the easiest bet. It's the least time consuming, but also it's probably one of the most algorithm safe approaches. So that is kind of an easy win for the majority of people. So if you're selling your expertise and you don't have a big following, huge following, and you don't have, big organic content reach, it's an easy win. It's an easy process. The thing you have to be mindful of is you don't want to be doing the kind of QVC style webinars where it's like it's a masked sales pitch. You want to actually give value. But at the same time, you don't want to drift into just going into teaching mode. The aim of this lead flow, this method of lead flow, is that they get bought into you and your knowledge and see working with you as the logical next step for them. That's different to just going on and rattling through slides and, teaching or helping them, because you want to kind of help them whet their appetite, but also give them an incentive to move forward. And what most people do, classic mistake with these webinars, they go down the online slimy webinars where it's basically like the first 10, 15 minutes, you're just rattling on about like you and all this nonsense. And then you go into all these random psychological questions like, what could you do? Think about what would you do if you had an extra $10,000 a month? Would you buy a new car? Would you buy a new house? Would you have the dream holiday? All that nonsense. It's manipulative, and I think people see through it. But you do have to set up that whole journey that they see it's the logical next step. And the big mistake people make is they go through teaching mode and try and do the teaching mode thing, and then immediately dive into, at the end, let me do an offer. And it's totally wrong. It doesn't work, right? It's manipulative. And if you don't have that skill level, that persuasion skill level, or you're not even comfortable doing it, it will show. I don't like doing that stuff. So what you have to do is make the case for working with you all the way through, but not in a kind of, and this is why people work with me. And it's like they need to just subtly pick up on it. A bit like what you would call product placement. So when you're doing, and this is a good rule for content as well, when you're trying to do content or deliver your content in an event, you don't really want to go down this road of real hard promotion, because it doesn't look good, right? It doesn't feel good doing it, and it is a little bit scammy. So what you want to do is actually make the case all the way through, a bit like product placement. Tell stories, show people, give an example, not like formalized. So this is my client. So have a conversation, explain why it worked, why it didn't, what went wrong for them, how you fixed it. Simple stuff. So that by the end of the webinar, the next step is, if you want to know how I can help you do this, here's how to take that next step. You don't have to kind of hammer home like countdown timers and all that nonsense. It's just so icky. Yeah. Experts don't go down with countdown timers, let's be honest, right? And they don't do, those weird value stacks that feel, where you make up random numbers. This thing is worth $8,000. Really? A digital course is worth $8,000? Really? They just make numbers up and then go, but for you today, it's like, oh, I'm not on QVC. So you can do it way more naturally, but you do have to have that flow of, how am I making this case in a subtle way so that people see, without me telling them, they see that I can help them and I have a method for solving it. Subtly see it. People prefer to make steps. People feel better about buying when it was their idea. And if we're trying to force our idea that this will be great for them, they'll feel suspicious about it. And if you want the most frictionless way to get leads and clients. It needs to be their idea. So LinkedIn events is one powerful way. And again, you can multi-channel it. So you could have people coming from Facebook and people coming from Instagram, all to the same event. In platform agnostic, a couple of hundred people each month, quite easily, very little minimal effort, give a load of value, offer the next step. Now, people ask me, Dean, what's the conversion rate? And it's obviously different by industries, but it's about 12%. It's 12%, but it's not 12% instant. And what we found is that if you follow up in the days after the webinar, you get obviously the really excited people who are ready right now. But if those people that did sign up, you nurture them, it goes up to about 12% after 12 months, because people don't necessarily make decisions instantly. And some people are not in the right place. Some people like the idea of it, but they need to mull it over for a bit longer. There's a whole load of reasons, right? And trying to force those or pressure those people to buy is just not good. So, but if you can nurture them for a 12-month period, about 12% of those attendees will become clients. Yeah, as long as you, or 12% of the registrants, as long as you keep focused and don't change your niche and change your offer and change everything every 5 farts, which a lot of people do. Because obviously that list bought into what you were saying. If you then change your message, change everything, are they still as interested? It's questionable. So it's about 12%. And that's where the long-term value for your business is not in content, it's in the building an email list. And this applies whether you're a solopreneur or a big company. Your email list is probably the most powerful thing you should build. And most people don't do it, or don't take it seriously, or because they've had a small list, they don't actually do anything with it. And then it goes stale, and then they go, oh, email marketing doesn't work. Email marketing is still one of the most powerful ways to get clients there is. Even with all these gadgets we've got, it's still really powerful, the most powerful. So if you're building an email list, and think about your email list as a long-term asset, that will protect you from any algorithm shocks, any algorithm changes. If social media implodes, you've still got an email list. And it allows you to play a longer game. And this is the number one thing I see people doing. They're not playing a long enough game. And when you don't play a long game, what happens is you're constantly creating new campaigns and new tactics and new tricks to try and get clients and leads. And you end up in a feast and famine. So if you think about it, you can use social media and posts to grow an email list. You can use, your profile to grow an email list. All perfectly. You can do all sorts. But if you're educating people as part of a webinar process, you can play a short-term game and a long-term game. Some people will convert quickly off the back of a webinar. Some people will need nurturing, and the webinars and email list work in tandem together. The webinars grow the list and nurture the long-term leads. The webinar converts the short-term leads. But most people don't take the email list seriously, and so they don't try their best to look after that list, deliver for that list, add value to that list. They certainly don't use that list to tell people how they can help. And so what happens is, somebody could start a list, build up, say, 300-400 people on their list, stop using it, stop bothering with it, and then go, right, I'm going to do something else. And there's an asset there that's being underdeveloped. So I would encourage you, if you want consistent lead flow from any social media, you need a mechanism to build an email list. I prefer webinars and events because I think people are coming in with value first, heavy value first. And if you get those webinars right, you can get really good conversion in terms of off the back of them initially. And then the email list takes over that list and nurtures them and adds more value, cements you as the expert, builds that trust so that when those people are ready, you're the first choice. And I'm not down for the kind of manipulative webinars with the big rah-rah at the end, buy now, buy now, buy now, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's too intense. And I think we're growing out of that. I think the grown-ups don't buy from that nonsense. They know it's all forced and faked, urgency and everything. But that's how you can do it. And if you run that process over and over and over again, right, it won't be the most sexiest thing. It won't feel like, oh, I've just gone viral and I feel amazing. But you'll start to fall in love with the end results. You'll start to fall in love with the fact that people are coming to you. You'll start to get the buzz of, I've just got an inquiry from the email list. Somebody's just booked a call from the email list. And that's what you should be addicted to, not whether a post did well or bad. Get addicted to the end result. But that means you build that system and you work that system come what may. Because if you don't work that system, you will play short-term game after short-term game after short-term game. And eventually, I've seen many people just, business owners give up on their business because it's too hard. And it's too hard. I'm repeating myself, but it's that big of a deal. Hopefully you get it, is they didn't have the clarity in the first place, i.e., who am I selling to? What's the problem I'm solving? And how am I going to solve it? They didn't have that clarity and they were all over the place. That's the first bit. And then that same issue is because they were all over the place, they were trying every last tactic, looking for every miracle system and gadget, and every person selling some snake oil online, they were buying it because they wanted this magic fix. And all the time, the magic fix was the clarity. Because literally, you can do pretty much anything on social media. Most tactics work, most strategies work if you have the clarity. But those two things together make it so much easier. And in webinars and emails, maybe a little bit more than a couple of hours, maybe 3-4 hours, you can build an email list and get clients using just events and an email list. Works a treat. I've been doing it for 5 years, 6 years. 6 years, maybe we've been doing the webinars. Wouldn't stop them. We actually did stop them, tell a lie. We did stop them for about 5-6 months. And our lead flow collapsed. And that's when we realized that actually there was a long tail element to the webinars. That some people would come in on the first webinar, webinar number 1, and they would need to go on a little bit of a journey. And, we tried a few things to kind of speed that up, and some things worked and some things didn't. But ultimately, people need to be going on that journey. And you need a system to take people on that journey. And content is great. I like posting content. This is content on my feed. Content's great. I would encourage you to do it. But you have no guarantees that those people will see that again. If they get into your email list or you invite them to events, that's under your control. You can message and invite people to an event. You can send an email to your email list. There's nothing getting in the way of you doing that. If an algorithm changes and you have regular people seeing your content, the change in the algorithm could make you invisible. So I'm not saying, don't post. No. But I am saying if you rest everything on that as your lead flow, you're basically going, here LinkedIn, here Instagram, I'm going to put the success of my business in your hands. I'm going to put all of my success in the basket of you. Oh, and by the way, I fully understand you don't even know I exist. Because let's be honest, right? LinkedIn doesn't care about me or you. If they change their algorithm, they're not thinking, how will this affect Dean? They're not thinking, how will it affect you? They just do what they want to do. And so, yes, use the tools. Yes, benefit from the platforms. But you have to find a way to make them work for you for the long term. So you're not chasing your tail. You're not having to jump on every trend. And you're not have to hope that post works. Because otherwise, it's all, you get what I'm saying. I still don't know why I look orange today. I think it's this camera, actually. Maybe I'll change the saturation on it. So look, you need lead flow. Webinars and email list is the priority for you. For most people, using events to educate and building an email list is the most important thing you can do to build your business online. That is algorithm bulletproof, or algorithm proof. If you don't do that, everything that you do puts yourself in the hands of, you either put yourself in the hands of the algorithm, or you have to go outbound, hard outbound. I don't mean pitch slapping, but I mean, I have to message and try and get calls booked by outreaching to people. And if you don't have the stomach for outreach, and that's not a bad thing, by the way, I don't like doing it. I'll do sometimes, but I don't like doing it all the time. And sometimes if I don't feel like it, I won't do it. So if you don't have the stomach for that, you've got to have another way. Webinars and long tail on the email list is probably your best bet. Not probably, is your best bet. So look, I've got a long day here in the US. I've had to reschedule some things because of all the drama with the flights and stuff like that. So look, if you want to take this forward, if you think Dean's talking sense and I need to do some of that stuff, that I will help you do it. So drop me a message and we can talk about what your next step is. But fundamentally, you need total clarity on who you're selling to, what you're solving. Then you need a system. And for most people, the easiest and simplest system, particularly if you're time strapped or time poor to devote to social media, it's going to be events and email list. Events, email list. Full stop. Look, I got to go. I got a workshop in a few minutes downstairs, so I thought I would just come and do this quickly, because otherwise I'm not going to post today because it's been bedlam here. But have a great rest of your day. UK, I think you're really ending. US, hopefully I'll see you in a city somewhere over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, events, webinars, key to client flow, key to lead flow.